Igira the Cruel is the second boss of Amirdrassil, the Dream's Hope. This weapon master swaps between different styles of weapons throughout the fight, from a hammer to a dagger, a greatsword, or an axe. The raid gets to decide which weapon the boss switches to throughout the fight, but you can only switch to each weapon once. It's a rather static fight. Each weapon just adds one new effect to the boss, so once you get the whole strategy down, it's pretty easy to figure out. So the basics of the boss is to dodge the swords that she shoots out, don't stand anywhere near the tanks, stack on the weapon that you want to utilize, while avoiding all of the swirls all over the ground. Avoid jump locations if the sword, stack up and heal off the heal block if it is the dagger, avoiding orbs, split into two groups and then alternate who takes the axe hit, and help your allies kill off the spears. Let's go into the details of what all of that means. So everybody has to worry about the tank mechanic on this fight. What it does is on his primary target, every time he strikes that target, he also strikes the next closest target within 10 yards. If a DPS player is on top of the tanks, there's a high chance they're going to take the hit from this and die. If there's nobody within 10 yards, it strikes the main tank twice. We recommend the main tank come in from the side away from the group and run in to take that initial hit. This will make sure that there's no DPS around them on that first hit and you're not losing people in the first couple of seconds. The main attack also applies a stacking bleed. This is called Drenched Blades. Make sure to taunt at around 8 to 9 stacks, or whenever your stacks fall off. Next up is Blistering Spear. Several of your raid members are going to be targeted with a circle around them. After a delay, they'll drop a void pool on the ground and become tethered to a spear. And your raid needs to DPS down these spears, destroying them so that your players are not burned down by these void circles. Igira will pick a random player and cast Twisting Blades. This will create 3 blades that she smashes out. You just have to avoid these as often as possible. Her short transition phase is marked for Torment. She's going to deal a burst of damage and knock everybody back. Then she's going to begin hammering and then cause all the weapons around the room to erupt with fire and then begin channeling into her. Your raid needs to pick one of these weapons and all stack within its circle. This will charge up that weapon and get her to craft that specific one. Taking damage from this effect should give you the Flesh Mortification debuff, which increases the damage you take from it by 100% the next time you take that effect. So if you're ever forced to leave the circle, you're going to take increased damage if you return to it. This is why you want to cycle players in or have your entire raid stack and charge it really quickly and then get out before the swirls even hit. During this time, you also have to constantly be avoiding red swirls, which follow players. Being coordinated enough to make sure that you can stack up the weapon, but not drop too many swirls on the raid inside it is very important. Once enough charge has happened, that weapon will craft in front of her, and she will be ready to use that weapon. If no weapons are selected in time, she does a massive AoE and wipes the raid. Now let's talk about each of the weapons. First up is the Dagger. This weapon is to the right of the boss when you're facing her at the start. This will give her Flaying Torment, which adds a new move. Heartstopper will be cast on multiple of your raid members. This will apply a Healing Absorb Shield, which when it expires, it explodes for 300,000 damage to all raid members. If more than one player have the debuff remaining and it explodes, it's going to be a raid wipe. So your healers need to get everybody topped off through this effect. When the Heal Absorb is removed through healing, the player is going to emit a bunch of orbs in 4 different directions. If you get hit by one of these orbs, you're going to take a bunch of damage over time. We found the most effective way to handle this effect is for everybody to just stack as tightly as possible and then to mass heal the group. This will cause the orbs to radiate out, but because all of the players are stacked, nobody makes contact with any of the orbs and they just shoot out. The tanks will have to do some dodging, but other than that, you should be fine. As long as the stack mechanic still works on release, this should be the ideal strategy as well as the first weapon that you should pick. Next up is the Axe. This is located to her left on start. The Axe gives her Hacking Torment, which allows her to use Racking Skewer. This is going to deal split damage around the tank and then stun all targets within the circle. All targets not within the circle will receive a Stacking Bleed debuff for 40 seconds. 1 stack is manageable, but 2 stacks will wipe a raid. Due to the long stun, you need to split your raid up into 2 separate groups, evenly distributed between DPS and healers. Then, when the ability starts casting, the assigned tank needs to go to their group and take the smash with the entire group. Upon receiving the smash, the off tank needs to taunt and use a cooldown. They're going to be taking that double damage for the 10 seconds while their partner is stunned. If you're able to remove the stun from the tank, that can be very effective at this time. Finally, we have the Greatsword, which is located in front of the boss. This gives the boss Slicing Torment and allows her to cast Smashing Viscera. This is going to put a circle around one target and then leap to them. Upon smashing on the ground, it's going to radiate a bunch of swirls out in directions. You just have to avoid both the landing location as well as all of the generated swirls. This was kind of the most annoying one to deal with because the boss is leaping all over the place and smashing the ground. It was the least effective ability, the other two are much more powerful, but this one was just annoying. You'll probably find you'll want to use the other two weapons instead of going to the sword just because it's easier to just burn the boss down and not worry about the jumping mechanic. There's a minor soften rage, which every time they pick a new weapon, Igira increases her damage dealt by 10%. This effect does stack, but we really didn't find it was that impactful. That's it for Igira the Cruel. I hope this guide helped your raid figure out how to take out this raid boss. If it did, don't forget to give me a like. And subscribe if you want more raid boss guides. I'm Zesty Phresh from Saza Games, and we'll catch you guys next time.